former ACT MP, former regional councillor, former district councillor, lawyer, and also businesswoman Hilary Calvert. She joins us now. Where does disability stop, Hilary, when you're starting to employ DEI policies?
Yeah, well, I think listening to you this morning, it's a combination of different things, isn't it? They're dragging the treaty and that stuff in amongst general positive discrimination, or affirmative action, we used to call.
That's right, affirmative action. Mm.
But I was thinking last year I had my hips done. And before that, I was in a lot of pain and things, and I was one grumpy tart. I mean, you might think I'm generally a grumpy tart, but I was even grumpier. Had I applied for a job at that, I stopped writing for the paper for a little while because I was just too grumpy. Had I applied for a job, there's no way I would have got it. I would not have performed well. So some people are like that all the time, for one reason or another. They are just angry. Now, they're never going to get a job. And they might be angry because they're in pain, or because they've got some sort of illness, or just because
they could have a borderline personality disorder.
They could have all sorts of things. You could give it fancy names. But why do we pick on some things as things that we would think of as diversity hires rather than other things? And angry people are seriously in trouble because they can't get any jobs. No one wants them anywhere near them. They can't even go out to have a drink at a pub or something and have some friends talking to them. No one wants to hear them. And likewise, somebody who's on a variety of sorts of drugs might well be in that sort of position too. They are just unpleasant to know. So do we hire them because what? And it doesn't even need to be your fault or not your fault. You might have driven, pissed as a newt, into the back of a truck and ended up as a paraplegic or something. You become a diversity hire. So it's not whether it was your fault or not that makes you diverse. So why stop where they've stopped? I mean, I think they just happen to pick on the pretty end of the spectrum, don't they?
Yes.
I mean, the whole thing is just silly. As you say, with the rugby and things, we managed to choose sports people on the basis of how good they are. And even when you're talking separately, a whole category of people who are at the, whatever it is, games, they are still the pretty end of the disabled market, if you like.
Yes, paraplegics are okay, but Special Olympians aren't.
Yes.
It's very interesting. Can I just comment on that, though, really quickly? There's a man in Wanganui who got a knighthood. I think he's dead now. He was given one recently from Wanganui, and it was to do with disability, but it wasn't to do with physical disability. Sir Robert Martin, that's his name. He was named a Knight Companion in 2020. And he essentially was representing people who were intellectually challenged, all right? So now he was given it. He was given that so he had an intellectual disability, and he became a champion of those who had intellectual disabilities, which is why they knighted Sir Robert Martin in 2020. That's fair enough. They did, but they knighted him so they recognised that intellectually disabled people are disadvantaged in general community and society, as disabled people are, as Maori people are, so on. So you're absolutely right, Hilary. If you're going to advantage Maori and Pacific Islanders because, poor buggers, you've come from the wrong ethnicity or cultural group, or you're going to advantage the physically disabled or the trans people because apparently there's something wrong with them, so they need to be advantaged as well, why wouldn't you advantage the intellectually disabled too?
Yeah, or autistic in general.
There's another one. Yep, you're on the spectrum.
And some people say that you can't get into Parliament unless you're on a spectrum.
Well, you can't get into the Green Party.
That's a different spectrum. That's a general.
That's a completely different spectrum.
Yeah, but there's a couple of things. Like, you'll know from your council days and other days that people will vote for people who look diverse in the sense of that they're Maori, one of whom shall be a Maori. They'll vote for some women if they're voting for a full ticket of something and they don't want them all men or something. So they'll try and provide a bit of diversity on a council given a choice. They don't provide diversity in the sense of like financially literate. So you can be all sorts of diverse, but you don't need to have any sort of abilities to do the actual job. So you can be employed by a council for all sorts of diversity things, but no one says, hey, remember we used to have, when we had school boards and things, people would sometimes have things where you voted for some of them, and then on top of that, or as part of that, you tried to get on a school board a lawyer and an accountant and some people who could...
Yeah, you tried to get a range of competencies is the way to describe it.
And that's what we thought of. We didn't use the word diversity, but you did try and get a range of skills.
Mm-hmm.
Now the skills have disappeared in one direction while the diversity's disappeared in another. It's sort of like you don't want skills anymore.
No.
But when it matters, we do want skills.
Mm.
On a personal level, we don't want to interact with people who we don't like and whatever. And I think in some ways, more significantly, that idea that Maori are shit, so they need a hand up and a handout, that is not fair. We've got some of the best Indigenous people in the world, the most competent, the smartest. They've got a sense of humour, all sorts of things on the whole. I'm vastly generalising here. But how dare we tell them that the only reason they're a doctor is because they're Maori? That's just not fair. And that's what you do, because you must be a diversity hire. As soon as you say, I papa whatever to a tribe, then somebody is automatically thinking, you're not competent, you've got no skills. That's why you're there. That's a mean thing to do to people.
It is.
It's unnecessary and it's unfair.